Scenic Mudgee, seated on the plush banks of the Cudgegong River, a pastoral haven full of life's simple pleasures, lazing, dozing, resting, and shearing. But beneath this picture-perfect exterior lurks a tragedy seldom spoken of, a struggle for the town's livelihood and its people's very survival. Not since the Great Emu War of 1932 has man suffered such pronounced and embarrassing losses in his ongoing conflict with that dreadful, perennial enemy, the animal kingdom. And yet, in those bleak hours, mankind saw the sparks of its greatest triumph, an armistice on whose bedrock of cooperation has emerged a prosperous and lengthy peace among species. November the 23rd, 1868. A crisp spring dawn, bright and blue as any other morning. But on this day the azure sky is cloaked by migratory throngs of a cunning reptilian intellect. Winged Zabati lizards, ravenous endemic pests from the Burundalla swampland, further encroached upon year after year by the iron tide of man, their marshy homeland shrunk to a bare eighth of its former proportions. Thus displaced, they began a perilous migration, unprecedented in the township's history, straight through the heart of the bustling young Mudgee. The town's mayor and founder, St. Custer von Mudgee, pictured here on the day of his wedding, mere moments after his arrest for bootlegging, declared war, and valiantly led the first charge from the bounds of his incarceration, here in the basement of St. John's Anglican Church. The first casualty in his crusade was this thriving post office, burnt on the 25th to ensure it would never fall into their enemies' scaly appendages. In a letter written during his imprisonment, von Mudgee describes the campaign. "Oh, it was gory. Not a tyke running round wasn't red up to the elbows. And the lizards were no better. They'd strip a man to the ligaments soon as look at him." His crusade was swift and merciless, fueled by assurances that their invasion was none other than a biblical plague caught live in the modern age. 3 further buildings, and the town's star attraction, the Big Wig, were put to the torch before the true cause of the lizard's exodus came to light. From then, it wasn't long until the locals found the Zabati were both disinterested in and incapable of manslaughter, and von Mudgee was remanded in custody on an acute count of rabble-rousing. On November the 28th, using speaking mouth dogs as their intermediary, a rapport emerged between local diplomats and the lizards, enabling terms to be drawn. To mankind, the land, crops, and cattle, and in turn, to the reptilian contingent, unmitigated access to the awnings, roofs, and clotheslines of Mudgee, plus the right of first refusal on both roadkill and the goo from windscreen insects. And so a historic peace was brokered between the human race and her noble, cold-blooded adversary, the winged Zabati lizard. Nowadays, the Zabati are the 5th most popular domestic companion animal in the Greater Sydney Basin, after dogs, cats, rocks, and goldfish. They can be purchased 4 for $1 at local pet retailers such as Big W and Bunnings, the latter even hosting a free Zabati sizzle at noon every second Tuesday.